Hey guys, welcome back to Hans Comments, number 3. Today we're going to really look at the impact of the Anthony Davis trade and how it really affects the rest of the league as far as the draft and the rest of free agency goes. Obviously for the Lakers, they're sort of embracing that win now attitude. They're missing just one piece probably until they are the favorites to win the title. I think that piece is probably an all-star point guard in Kyrie or Kemba. Um, they need to do a couple things to clear up cap space, but they should not have a problem signing one of these guys. But if ultimately Kyrie or Kemba do not want to come there, I think the next options are Jimmy or Kawhi. I don't really think Kawhi would want to go there as well. So I think who they end up with is Jimmy. Jimmy's sort of a ring chaser. I understand you're there to win, and he fully, vocally wants to win. He's very vocal about it. Um, I think Kawhi sort of proved this during the finals this year that you don't need to be an elite three-point shooting team to take down an elite three-point shooting team. They're sort of bringing back the bully ball mold, and I think the Lakers are sort of trying to copy that, but with higher caliber players. Anthony Davis and Pascal Siakam are built very, very similar. Obviously, Anthony Davis, higher level player, more gifted offensively than Siakam. Siakam's more of a driver and doesn't really have a polished post game. Anthony Davis does. Um, Also, a little better on defense, Anthony Davis is. And Anthony Davis in his prime, they're going to compete for the title this year. The biggest impact on the draft, I think, is that it allows any border teams or non playoff teams to really focus on drafting higher potential players than NBA ready players. Uh, those players specifically I'm speaking of are people like Darius Garland, who is pretty much a lock for the fourth overall pick right now, and I think that's why the Pelicans are listening to so many uh, offers for that pick because they don't really want him. They have a point guard. They have two point guards in Lonzo Ball and Jrue Holiday. Um, and then Cam Reddish, I think, probably moves up the most. Will probably be a top 10 pick if he wasn't already. He just has very, very good size. He has good form on his jump shot, and he has the tools to be a great defender. So I think he has one of the most upsides in the draft. He benefits a lot, and I think some Jonte Porter, who's projected mid second round, might move up into the first round now. Now he struggled with injuries, um, hasn't doesn't have a lot of tape to show for him other than his freshman year. Um, but he's a very, very polished stretch center. He's 6'11", has a very smooth shot, can dribble the ball, can pass. Um, if you give him time to develop, he could end up being very good. Porzingis type player. Um, I think the Pelicans are sort of trying to weigh all their options right now because I don't know if they feel like more picks is better or higher picks are better. They have Zion, the best overall prospect. Do they want to take the fourth pick and draft the fourth best overall prospect, who is Darius Garland, who could evolve into an elite three-point shooter? Or do you want to trade it down, get somebody proven like Robert Covington? The Timberwolves are looking to trade Robert Covington, the 11th overall pick, or just trade for multiple picks. The Hawks have 3 first-round picks and are willing to trade 2 of those picks to trade up to number 4 and really bolster a young starting lineup, all on rookie contracts. John Collins, Trae Young, Kevin Porter, and then you have pieces like Tarion Prince, who is getting better every year. Um, just a bunch of role players on that bench too. Um, so I think they may move up, but I don't think they want Darius Garland. I think they would move up and draft DeAndre Hunter, or Jarrett Culver. Um, the Timberwolves would definitely win that trade. Covington is not on the same timeline as the rest of the Pelicans team now. So Timberwolves would be able to get rid of a contract, an older player, and end up with Darius Garland likely, um, which is way more the timeline for the Timberwolves. Rosas came out and said he's looking to compete and build a roster for 3 years down the road, 2, 3 years, and really compete then. I think he can sort of sense that the Lakers are sort of in charge right now, especially if they get another big free agent. Um, the Warriors are panicking right now. What are they supposed to do? Do you re-sign Clay? Do you re-sign KD and just wait it out? Do you re-sign one of them and try adding another free agency and hopefully they can come back on a playoff push? They have talked about sign and trading Kevin Durant to the Knicks. I'm not exactly sure what they would get in return for that. Maybe DeAndre Jordan and a pick. Um, I think if I was the Warriors, I would try signing both of them to good contracts and wait. I don't think you're going to beat the Lakers next year, especially I don't even know if you can make the playoffs with just Steph, you know. Um, Andre Iguodala is getting old. Andrew Bogut's old. DeMarcus Cousins leaving. You don't have much on that team. Jordan Bell, Kayvon Looney, not polished offensive players. Defensive big, sure, but that doesn't get you to the finals, let alone the playoffs. So if they choose to not sign him, I think they sort of go into developing younger players, hoping Quinn Cook pans out, Alfonso McKinney, and Jordan Bell all sort of turn into good or great players. I think Jordan Bell has a capacity. I don't think he takes basketball too seriously. I think he's a very good athlete and a big guy, so he just sort of played basketball and was good at it. I think he has a very high ceiling, though. I think he could be an all-star center or power forward, depending on what they want. But he doesn't seem to be wanting to get better. I think the Bucks feel like they are 1 or 2 pieces away from being a championship team, so they tried addressing that in trading Tony Snell and the 30th pick to the Pistons for John Lure, who is actually a Wisconsin guy, um, and he's a stretch big um, to come off the bench probably behind Brook Lopez, or even start at the 4 maybe. I think they're fine with the whole league knowing what their game plan is, and it's put 4 spread out shooters around Giannis and let him attack the rim, because Giannis one-on-one, nobody can guard him. Nobody. I don't care who you are. Joel Embiid can't. Nobody. Kawhi can't. Um, the Raptors were able to because people weren't hitting their three-point shots and were able to collapse on Giannis. So they're going to add as much three-point shooting to that team as they can. They need to re-sign Chris Middleton to probably a max deal, unfortunately. I don't think he's a max player. I think he's a good player, not a max player. But they just need a couple more pieces, and they can contest for a title. I don't know if they can next year with LeBron and Anthony Davis, but I guess we'll see. I think Anthony Davis is a good matchup for Giannis, actually. I think the Knicks are kind of panicking right now. They know the Pelicans want RJ Barrett. There's not really a way they can get him unless the Knicks drop the ball like New York always does. Hashtag Daniel Jones. but they are bringing in other guys to work out right now. Even though they've been set on RJ Barrett, they brought in Darius Garland yesterday for a workout, but have no intention of drafting him. I think they're worrying that the Pelicans somehow find a way to get the second pick, but Memphis won't give up the second pick because they're set on Ja Morant. So don't be surprised if the Knicks drop the ball and mess it up. Mike Conley to the Jazz. That just think about that for a second. The Jazz and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies with Mike Conley and Marc Gasol. Okay. Now you go to the Jazz. Very, very similar teams. Defensive, grinding teams. This is a match made in heaven, but with a team on the same timeline, or closer at least. I think the biggest winner of this draft is not a team, it's Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell struggles with being the number one guy sometimes. There's just too much attention on him, and he can't get the shots he wants. Mike Conley, very, very good passer, can get Donovan Mitchell open looks, get him rolling, and get him on fire. Rudy Gobert is going to have a great season in the pick and roll and going to instantly vibe with Mike Conley. That there's nothing else in the world that says we don't want you more than trading for a point guard. So bye, Ricky. I think Ricky probably signs with one of those border teams like the Pacers, who could end up very, very good if Oladipo comes back and is playing at the same level he was. I think he could make a return to Minnesota as well if he takes a pretty small deal and the Timberwolves just want him to kind of help somebody like Darius Garland or Kobe White really fine-tune their playmaking abilities. The Grizzlies have full-on said, we are building a team around Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant, and I love it. Jaren Jackson could probably lead the Memphis team in scoring, rebounds, blocks next year. Probably even steals. He's a very well-rounded player. He has a three-point shot. He has a post game. He blocks shots. He gets in people's grills. He can switch. And then Ja Morant and him in a pick and roll is going to be very scary for opposing defenses. As well, they got the pick. They got some veteran leaders in Jay Crowder and Kyle Korver, and another young guard in Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen benefits from this because he gets to stay with an all-time great shooting guard in Kyle Korver. Grayson Allen's a hot and cold, streaky shooter, so he's going to keep learning from Kyle Korver, and I think that's the best thing for his career. Ja Morant's going to be able to get him open looks too. And they sort of just traded both Jay Crowder and Mike Conley play the same style of basketball, grit and grind. Different levels, obviously. Mike Conley's should have been an all-star the last 3-4 years, but gets snubbed all the time. So watch out for the Grizzlies the next 3-4 years, but I don't think they are the number one young team. I don't even think they're number two. I have the Hawks at the number two best team, or best young team, especially if they can trade up for that fourth pick and really round out a complete starting lineup, like I said, of young players who can develop together. Trae Young really can help any player develop. But the Pelicans look absolutely terrifying in 2-3 years. They will have Zion, they will have Lonzo, they have Jrue right now to help guide the way. He'll likely leave at the end of his contract. Brandon Ingram can play the 4 or the 5 in a small ball. Zion can play the 4 or 5 in the small ball. And then Josh Hart could end up being a starting caliber player for the next couple of years, and that's super, super good for them. As well as they're going to have at least one other first round pick, if not two more picks, as well as a player. They could have Robert Covington, who's a great shooter, great defender. Um, yeah, so they're going to be very, very good in a couple years, especially if Zion lives up to all the hype. I think the Clippers are sort of panicking right now because they're very, very overshadowed by their neighbors in the Lakers. Um, if you're a free agent, what looks more appealing? The Clippers or the Lakers? One of the GOAT, as many say, and LeBron, Anthony Davis, probably the best power forward in the game right now, or center, whatever you want to call him. I call him a power forward. Um, and they need one more guy, one more solid guy. And then you have somebody like Kyle Kuzma who can space the floor and he plays anywhere. Put Kyle Kuzma wherever you want. The dude will play. He'll do good. He'll splash. He'll go in the post. He'll get rebounds. He'll pass. He's a good player. Great fit with LeBron. So the Clippers are likely going to get the tail end of the free agents in Clay, probably, an injured guy. But they should have their eyes set on Kawhi and go as hard as they can after him. He just fits their game, fits right in with Pat Beverly, fits in with Montrezl Harrell. But if they do miss on both those guys, I think Boogie, you have to get Boogie. You can get him for cheaper than those other guys. It's not a high risk. He can play the minutes Montrez isn't playing and add some scoring potency to your team. And that's really what the Clippers need. They can't rely on Lou coming off the bench every year and just taking over because there's going to be teams that can stop him. I think Boston has sort of fully accepted the fact, or I hope they have, that they need to develop that young core. They tried winning a title with Kyrie and Gordon and Al Horford. Now almost all of them are going to leave. Kyrie wants no business with them. He won't respond to them. Al Horford declined his option to stay with the team. Rightly so. They aren't going anywhere this year. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are the future of the Celtics franchise, and they need to accept that, and they need to focus on developing them. It grinds my gears that you have spent so much time and money on Gordon Hayward when you have players that could surpass him. Give them the time of day. You have them playing in like supplementary roles. Jaylen Brown is used as a defender almost exclusively. The dude has the athleticism, has the form to be a great offensive player, but you have to focus on developing him. Jason Tatum has shown glimpses. He's taken over at moments. He's not a volume scorer, but he can be the guy when your team isn't scoring to just go one-on-one and get a bucket. And I don't understand why the Celtics haven't noticed this. It blows my mind. But Terry Rozier said he is in talks with the Celtics again now that Kyrie's all but gone. Kyrie's likely going to Brooklyn or LA, in my opinion. I don't know why he would go to Brooklyn. He thinks he can be the guy still after the failed experiment of Boston. You're not. Sorry, bud. You are a complimentary scorer. So go somewhere where you can do that and win a ring, another ring with LeBron. Just cement yourself in his legacy too. Because by yourself, your legacy looks real bad right now. Maybe he wants to do it by himself and really make his own legacy, but it's not working for you, man. Gordon Hayward needs to go somewhere where he's not taking away minutes. And then Al Horford, He's interesting. He's old, but he's still worthy of a decent contract. Um, I think he's a ring chaser. He's going to want to go play for somebody who has a chance at winning. So my guesses would be the Lakers if they miss out in free agency on any of the other big names, and then you can have Kyle Kuzma basically be your sixth man with Anthony Davis and Al Horford starting. Um, I think the Rockets, if they decide to ship Clint Capella for a pick or some more wings, Al Horford would do great there. He can stretch the floor like Capella couldn't, and with CP3 and Harden, they'd be able to get him the ball in the pick and roll or in post uh, looks. Um, yeah, there's a lot of free agents that can sort of fill out some of these good teams now. Seth Curry, I think, is going to be a big name to watch. He's going to be a main backup on a contender, whether that be with the Lakers or the Rockets. I think the Rockets are a great fit for him. Seth Curry is basically Austin Rivers with a much better three-point shot. Seth Curry can, when he wants to, be a good defender, a pesky stealer, um, but a lot of times he doesn't play that way. So he's better as a scoring guard, but I think he goes to a contender. There's a lot of other players I'm not going to touch on. Vucevic is a big name who will end up rounding out a pretty damn good roster, I believe. He's probably going to go, again, Lakers. If they miss, I could see him on the Clippers. He doesn't really fit that mold, but one of those guys who can really just get you a couple buckets when your offense isn't rolling, and any team can really use that. I just think he would prefer to play on a contender. And that's about it that I have for the NBA. I just want to touch quick on the Twins because I'm wearing this dope ass limited edition Prince jersey. Went to the game Friday night against the Royals, and man, it wasn't the most exciting game. It was a pitching game. Kyle Gibson probably pitched the best game of his career that night. And then we got to see Mitch Garver hit the go-ahead home run and win the game for us. It wasn't a walk-off, but good enough for me. Great game. They were playing the Red Sox this last series that ended last night. Lost 2 of the 3, but were competitive. The bullpen struggled in all 3 games. They managed to pull one out 2 nights ago. Max Kepler was the only thing really working. Eddie Rosario had a decent game, 3 doubles, but you got to remember that game went into 17 innings. So 3 hits on 8 at-bats isn't great. It's above average if we're looking at it from a batting average standpoint, but Kepler was the one who was driving in the runs. He kept us in the game multiple times. He matched Mookie Betts hit a home run in the top of the 12th, I believe, and then Kepler came in the bottom of the 12th, hit a home run to tie it, and then ended up hitting the walk-off single to win the game. And at this point in the season, they still have not lost 3 games in a row, fitting for the 3rd podcast, which is just an outstanding feat at this point in the season. They're definitely going to go to the playoffs. They're definitely going to make some noise. And they're looking to get some more depth in the bullpen. Madison Bumgarner is one of the guys they've been looking to trade for, which unfortunately means we're probably going to lose a batter. I wouldn't mind losing somebody like Marwin Gonzalez. He's a jack of all trades, but I would rather have a star pitcher to really help us in those pitching games than somebody who can fill in anywhere. That's all I really have for you guys today. I'm going to do another episode early next week, really going over the draft and the surprises of it. Yeah, if you guys could help me out, comment below what you think is going to happen tonight as far as trades or reaches on the draft. But thanks for watching, everybody.